Hey everyone, this is Music Tech Help Guy, and welcome to part 14 of my Logic Pro 11 Essentials course. In the previous video, I talked about how to record audio with a microphone, and I did some takes of acoustic guitar and a few takes of vocals, but we didn't really do much in terms of editing those recordings. In this video, I want to focus on using take folders for quick swipe comping. Now, quick swipe comping is a really cool and easy way to take multiple takes of different recordings and combine them all together to create what's called a composite take. Now, the terms comping or comp come from that word, composite, and that word comes from the film production world, where you have multiple camera angles of a scene, and then you take those multiple camera angles and you edit them together to create a composite take, a multi-camera take of that whole scene. You can kind of do this same thing in Logic with quick swipe comping. Let's say you have 5 vocal takes, and each take has its best parts and each take has its bad parts. You can just use the best parts of each take and combine them together to create essentially a flawless take, or at least a take that's as good as it possibly can be. Now, before we get into quick swipe comping, I need to quickly tell you about today's sponsor, Boombox. Boombox is not just file storage, it's a suite of collaborative, promotional, and creative tools. You can upload your audio files, stems, mixes, multi-tracks, and even full DAW sessions. You can create projects with these files and invite collaborators who can then leave time-stamped feedback on your project. Create custom inboxes so you can receive files from remote collaborators. You can create your own custom artist page to get your music out to the world. You can create a public or private shareable playlist, or tap into Boombot AI, your new virtual co-writer. And you can try out Boombox completely free. It's not really a trial though. You don't have to enter any credit card info or anything like that. You can get 4 gigabytes of free storage space to use any way you like. And if you want to upgrade to a paid plan for more storage and additional pro features, they offer plans with up to 3 terabytes of storage. Head over to boombox.io today and get started. Okay, so here's the project I recorded in my previous video. You can see I've got 4 different vocal takes here in my take folder. If you are not familiar with how to record into take folders, I would highly recommend you go back and check out part 13 of this course as I show how to do that. But essentially what has happened here is I've made 4 vocal recordings, and they've all been packed into a take folder. And when you double click on the take folder, this will reveal all of the takes inside. So these 4 audio regions here that are labeled take 1, 2, 3, and 4, these are the actual takes. The waveform you see up at the top is the composite take. So as we start comping these different takes together, you'll see that the composite take up at the top changes to reflect what's shown down here. So anything that's gray is an unused take, and anything that's blue, or whatever the color of the region is, that's going to be a used take. That's going to be a part of the take that is sort of punched up into the composite take. Now, a couple of things here just to make sure you know what everything is. If you come over here to the upper left corner of the take folder, you can click right here, and you can actually choose takes this way if you just want to choose a full take, just like so. Take 3 was the best take out of all 4 of these. And then you can use this button to collapse and open the take folder. And then this button right here turns on or off quick swipe comping. So when the icon looks like this, that's quick swipe comping mode. When you click on it, that's just regular editing mode. And we're going to use both of these in this video. But for now, let's work in quick swipe comping mode. And if you want to quickly toggle this on and off, you can select a take folder and then press Option Q to jump back and forth between quick swipe comping mode and normal editing mode. So the way I like to comp vocals, or really any recording, is I like to set the playhead around a section, and this sort of just lets me loop that section and listen to each of the takes one by one. So let's determine what the best take is for this very first phrase. Don't worry, don't cry. In fact, I'll stop right there, and I'll pull this back here. So here's take 2. Don't worry, don't cry. Don't worry, don't cry. Don't worry, don't
don't cry. Don't worry, don't cry. Don't worry, don't cry.
I kind of like this fourth take here because of it's got a little more raspiness in it. But let's check out this second phrase now.
We've got another day to set things right.
Now, what you'll notice is if I click down here on another take, it selects the whole take. How do I just select this portion of a take? Well, you just click and swipe over it. And this is why it's called quick swipe comping, because you can very quickly click and swipe over a selection to select it. And then once an area has been selected, you can just click above or below that selection to move that edit up or down to any take you like. So let's listen to that section again.
We've got another day to set things right. We've got another day to set things right. We've got another day to set things right. We've got another.
Yeah, so I think take 4 is still the best take so far. Once we get over here into the second half of this phrase, I think take 3 really takes over as the best take. So let's go ahead and listen to this whole section right here. And this one had some, some complete different melodic and rhythmic differences. So this is great if you're sort of improvising while you're recording a bit. You can sometimes capture these golden moments that work really well and keep those takes rather than just practicing over and over and over and over again and recording nothing, and maybe you miss some of these sort of really nice takes and really nice ideas that might have been a little more improvisatory in nature.
Wake up tomorrow, your best foot forward.
So that was a mistake.
Wake up tomorrow and put your best foot forward and give it another try. Wake up tomorrow and put your best foot forward and give it another try. Wake up tomorrow. Wake up tomorrow. Wake up tomorrow. Wake up tomorrow.
Yeah, I think take 3 is best here. This second phrase, I'm not 100% sure if I want to use maybe a little bit of take 2 in here. Let's try that out. Let's try a little bit of take 2 and then the end of take 3.
And put your best foot forward and give it.
Oh, you know what? I meant to do the opposite. Let's use take 3 here and then take 2 here.
And put your best foot forward and give it another try.
Or this one.
And put your best foot forward and give it another try.
Maybe let's try take 4.
And put your best foot forward and give it another try.
Okay, cool. So it looks like we've really just used takes 4 and 3, and sometimes that'll happen. Sometimes you'll use, 5 different takes, 6 different takes to create your composite take. Other times you'll just use 1 or 2 or 3 takes to comp together your composite take. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you really want to get super granular about it, you can get in here into the nitty gritty and you can pick out, specific words. If there's like just one word where the inflection was a little better or the performance or the pitch was a little better, you can totally do that.
We've got another day to set. We've got another day to set things right.
Or maybe I want just this phrase in here.
Set things right.
So there's all sorts of possibilities here for editing, especially with vocals. This is super helpful. This is really a godsend for editing vocals. Now, one other thing we may want to do here is we may want to trim up some of these takes, or maybe just remove parts of these takes completely. Or maybe we need to sort of shift them around. Maybe something is a little ahead of the grid or a little behind the grid. For example, maybe I want this phrase to just be shifted back just a little bit. You can see that in the fourth take, it's here, but it's a little bit ahead of time in the third take. This is where the normal standard editing mode comes into play. So you can click here again. When you see the scissors, that means you're in regular editing mode. And again, you can select the take folder and press Option Q to toggle this. So in standard editing mode, you can just grab a region and move it around as you normally would be able to do, just like any other audio region. This will follow whatever your snap option is set to. But if I just wanted to sort of drag this over independently of the rest of that take, what I could do is I could set my playhead here, select that take, and press Command T to split by playhead. I can come over here, split by playhead again. And then if I just need to nudge this take over a little bit, I can do that. And I'm able to edit that part of the take independently of the rest of the take. Or if you just need to trim something out completely, maybe I need to trim out the silence here. I can click here, Command T, come over here, Command T, and you can just delete a whole chunk of that take. So you can still do some standard editing within the take folders. And we're going to talk a lot more about editing audio later on when we get into the actual edit tools. But for now, I'll leave it at that. Although I do want to trim up the actual take folder up here. So what happens after you comp your take? Well, you can just leave it like this if you want, and you can just work with the take folder. Each edit point will automatically be crossfaded, so you don't have to worry about any pops or clicks in the recording. What I recommend doing is if you think there's a chance that you might need to bring back this take folder and grab another vocal take, what I recommend doing is duplicating the track with the take folder on it. And you can quickly duplicate a track with the track content by holding Option and then dragging the track header down below the other track headers. And so now I've got a duplicate of the take folder. And what I can do is I can mute this. I can press H, and this will bring up the hide button on each track. Click the H on the track that you want to hide, and then press H again to hide your hidden tracks. And then what I can do is I can click right here, and I can select Flatten and Merge. And what this will do is it'll flatten all of those edits together and merge them all into a new region. But if later on down the road, you're like, oh, I need to go back and grab a different vocal take, you just press H to pull up your hidden tracks, and all of your takes are still here. So that's how you can hide tracks in Logic. Now, there was some spots in this recording where I was speaking. I want to get rid of some of maybe the breathing or bleed in between the gaps of the vocal phrases. So once you're converted down to a regular audio region, you can use the Command T shortcut to trim things. But I prefer just to use the built-in trim tool that's on the left and right side of each side of the region. So I can do some heads and tails editing. If I need to get in here and do some other editing, you can use, if you're already familiar with the edit tools, you can use the marquee tool to do this. You can drag over an area and just hit delete. We're going to talk more about the edit tools later on. But once again, if you're not familiar with the marquee tool, you can also use the Command T function for now. And I'll do the same thing here. I'll just trim out some of this, trim out some of this, delete the excess, and there we go. So let's listen to that whole take now.
Don't worry, don't cry. We've got another day to set things right. Wake up tomorrow and put your best foot forward and give it another try.
Now, one last thing you might want to do is you may want to add little fade ins and fade outs to each one of these regions. And this just makes sure that there's no pops or clicks at the edit points. One way to do this is to hold Shift and Control and just drag over the region going from the inside of the region to the outside of the region, and that will create little fades. However, there is a way to create batch fades. So I'm going to undo all of that. If you select multiple regions and then go over to the region inspector over here and then click more, you'll see there's an option for fade in and fade out. And you can just double click and type in any value in milliseconds. So if I want a 10 millisecond fade in and a 10 millisecond fade out, you can totally do that. Okay, let's take a look at some of these guitar parts. I'm going to go ahead and mute the vocal for now. I think take 2 was the best take on each of the guitar parts, but I think there were some weird rhythmic things we need to align. So let's go ahead and listen to those. And anytime we hear like a mistake or maybe something that needs to be nudged around, we'll jump into the take folder and edit it. I mean, it's not a big deal, but the rhythm on one of these is a little lagging. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just punch that up, something like that. No, that's worse. So maybe let's try this one instead. Try that take. Now, as I'm editing these, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to not edit right on the waveform. And if you do have to edit on the waveform, edit right before the transients. So the transients are these areas in the waveform where there's like an attack, like a peak area of volume. Okay, so right there's a bit of a rhythmic inconsistency. So let's take a look at all of these takes together. Let's try this take instead. Okay, so like the second half of this is good, but the first half is not. So let's just pull this like that. Okay, so if you look up here, we've got a long note and a short note. And then up here, we've got a short note and a long note. So we could maybe try punching in that long note in the first guitar. So now we have both long notes in here. Or if we want to go with the short note, I could use the short note here instead. I think I like that better. So that's what we're doing here is we're just trying to align the left and right guitars so they are, you know, as similar as possible. Okay. A little bit of a timing inconsistency there. And you know, the great thing about quick swipe comping is it lets you be as OCD and granular about this as you want, or you can be as lax about it as you want. You know, if you prefer your recordings to have a little bit of inconsistencies in them, you know, you can do a lot or a little of this. It's really up to you. Yeah, I think it's not so much the rhythm there. I think it's the entry of this chord right here. So you can see in the upper take, it's like right behind the bar line, but here it's ahead of the bar line. So this is another situation where I could turn on regular editing mode, click on that take, hit Command T, come over here, Command T. Let's just nudge that forward a little bit so it lines up with the other take. And then I can trim this up. And you'll notice when you trim these up and put them adjacent to each other, you'll see the crossfade up here in the composite take. And I think, yeah, here we're getting a little behind in the second take. So I think what I'm gonna do here, turn on editing mode, do a Command T, just nudge this forward ever so slightly. Let's see what that sounds like. There we go. So let's listen to that whole guitar part one more time, starting at the first edit, and then I will flatten and merge these. Cool. This edit right here, sounding a little weird to me. So maybe nudge that forward. Sometimes if you just find a different place to throw the edit in, just kind of nudging it left and right, it'll sound more transparent. That's the point here. We don't want the edits to sound noticeable. There we go, much better. Okay, so what I'm gonna do at this point is I'm gonna collapse both of these take folders, and then what I can do is I can, if I wanna make a backup, I can do the same thing where I hide them and mute them. I'm not gonna do that here. I'm just going to flatten and merge the takes. And you can use the shortcut Option U to flatten and merge as well. So I'll go ahead and flatten and merge this one as well. And then I will trim up the back end of both of these. Yeah, and be careful. Sometimes when it looks like there's no waveform, there's still material there. And so sometimes when I'm editing, I'll click here to zoom up the waveform so I can really see what's going on. And even here, you know, you just have to listen to it. Okay, so about right there. Command T, delete that. Now, when you use that Shift Control Fade shortcut I showed you earlier, you can actually apply this to multiple selected regions. So if I select both of these, hold Shift and Control, and drag from the inside of the region to the outside, it'll fade both of those. And then I'll do the same thing at the beginning, just to cut out any excess background noise, just like so. And once again, we'll do a Shift Control to add our fade. Okay, so let's bring the vocal back in. Let's listen to this whole thing one time with everything comped and edited.
Don't worry, don't cry. We've got another day to set things right. Wake up tomorrow and put your best foot forward and give it another try.
Awesome. So that is quick swipe comping in Logic Pro 11. Honestly, quick swipe comping is hands down one of my favorite editing features in Logic Pro 11. It makes tracking vocals and other instruments a breeze. And you know, in this example, I kept it fairly simple. 4 vocal takes and then 2 acoustic guitar takes on 2 different tracks, so 4 in total. But you can go crazy with this. You know, if you're still trying to learn a song, but you're trying to record at the same time, or you're trying to improvise ideas, just like I demonstrated in part 13, you can set this to loop recording and just go ham with it and, you know, record 10 takes, 20 takes, and then comp all of those takes together until you get a take that works. As a guitar player, I also find it super helpful for guitar solos because I can just sit there and improv on a loop, and then I can piece together the best parts of that improvisation. And we'll talk more about that when we get into recording electric guitar and bass later on in this course. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. As always, thank you so much for the support, and thanks for watching.